What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Dork Daily here at the Holland House. And today we're going to be making over the Thor Love and Thunder Marvel Legends action figure. Process is going to be basically covering it with a bunch of shoe polish and acrylic washes, dry brushing, rub and buff, and a bunch of acrylics in various places, and then replacing this with a fabricate that I'm also going to make posable, and then of course some hot glue lightning for Stormbreaker here. It's going to be a relatively simple process that I think is going to take him up a trillion notches, and I'm really excited to see how it turns out. So let's get at it.
Alright, so our first step here is going to be taking everything apart, and I'm starting by removing the cape here with an X-Acto knife, and then I'm going to pop off the legs and the head. The arms gave me a lot more trouble than I wanted to deal with, so I just ended up leaving them on. It was a bit of a pain in the butt, but I made it work.
Helps like the dish soap helps break down like the protective coating that they get.
Oh my god, his head's off.
Yeah.
Where's the sound go?
Over here.
Huh. Oh, a tit.
I was gonna say, getting tits already?
Like you could close your shirt.
Oh, we're boobed out again?
Yeah.
Oh. Damn it.
So as I so eloquently explained to my girlfriend, giving him a bath here just to help break down that outer coating, and it'll help everything really adhere to the figure better. Alright, so now that he's had his bubble bath and he's dry, we can move on to painting this guy. The first step is going to be covering all the armor with black shoe polish and the hair with brown shoe polish. Once that dries, I'm going to scrub away the excess with a sponge and some hot water, and that'll help bring out all that recessed detail, as well as add some overall grime and weathering. Alright, next step is taking our gold leaf rub and buff and dry brushing it all over the scales and the gauntlets on his arms.
It's a little bit difficult to pick up on camera, but I promise it makes a difference.
Now the key to dry brushing, especially with this rub and buff as little goes a long way, is to have as little as possible on the brush and whisper it across the surface. Alright, so moving on to the legs, the first thing I'm doing is dry brushing that gold leaf rub and buff on the existing gold of the boots. Then for the upper part of the leg, what I'm doing is taking this Plaid Effects metallic blue paint, which pretty much matches the existing color on the figure exactly, and using that to do the trim. And then I'm going to take that gold leaf rub and buff again and go ahead and dry brush it over the scale plating. So now what I'm doing is mixing black and a little bit of white to make it an off black, and I'm using that to dry brush over the leather panels on the inner parts of the thigh to help bring out all that awesome detail that they sculpted in this figure. Alright, moving on to the head/helmet. First thing I'm doing is putting down an acrylic matte black to use as a base coat for the metallic blue details. Then I'm going to take that matte black that I already had and mix a little bit in with some raw umber to make a really dark brown color, and that's going to be the base coat for his beard. And for the next layer of color on his beard, what I'm doing is taking some burnt umber and a little bit of yellow, mixing that together, and using this funky brush that I have kind of chopped up, and just using that to apply it to give the brown a little bit of depth and texture. And for the last layer of coloring to his beard, and also for the coloring of his hair, what I'm going to do is take that acrylic yellow paint that I have and mix in a little bit of Plaid Effects metallic gold, and that'll help bring out those highlights in his beard and also those beautiful blonde locks. Alright, so jumping back to the helmet, what I'm doing is taking that metallic blue Plaid Effects paint and just going over all the areas that I painted black earlier. It took about 3 to 4 coats to really get it to the opacity that I wanted. And now switching back to the Goldie from buff, I'm just dry brushing that all over the gold parts of the helmet. Alright, now I have some silver leaf from buff, and I'm just once again dry brushing all over Stormbreaker here. That way it'll help give it a better metallic shine and also highlight those edges. And for the handle of Stormbreaker here, what I'm going to do is take some of that burnt umber, mix in a little bit of white to lighten it, and dry brush that all over. So I decided I wanted to add a little bit of depth to his flesh tones here, so what I did was took some of that brown shoe polish and watered it down just a little bit, and then just kept applying, dab away the excess until I reached that happy medium, and I also did that to his hand as well. And with that, the paint job is done. I sealed him up with a matte sealer, and now it's time to move on to the cape. So what I'm going to do to create the fabric cape is take the plastic one that came with Thor and use that as a guideline to make a template. I basically just want to widen the cape so I can fold in the pleats and also put in the wire that's going to make it posable. So the fabric that I'm using for the cape is actually an old Under Armour that I had lying around. I've only worn it maybe a handful of times, and it's just been sitting there ever since because this dad bod is not a big fan of spandex anymore. It had good weight to it and good shine, so I thought it'd be perfect to use for this. And I'm just tracing it out with a red marker in case any of the ink shows up on the cape when we cut it out. It won't be too noticeable. So to make this cape posable, we're going to take this picture hanging wire here and coat the one side with some Loctite. I'm using the brush on because it gives me a bit more control and I don't have to worry about the glue soaking through the fabric. Then once I lay it down, I'm going to brush the other side and then roll it over. And now for the tricky part, folding in these pleats. So I'm just taking that same brush on Loctite and basically just drawing on where I want to fold the cape over and then folding it on itself and then folding it back and repeating that process twice on both sides. And last step for the cape, we're just putting some of that Loctite on the ends and then gluing it under the tabs on his chest armor. Alright dorks, we're in the home stretch now. Last thing we gotta do is make some hot glue lightning for Stormbreaker. I just made a template of Stormbreaker using some poster board and then laid some plastic wrap on top, and now I'm just pouring the hot glue lightning sporadically all over. Some of you may have seen me use this technique in my apocalyptic Megazord video, and if you haven't, I highly suggest you go check that out. After completing this part, I actually decided that I wanted the lightning to sit on Stormbreaker a different way, but you'll see what I mean in the reveal.
And there we have it, dorks. The Marvel Legends Thor Love and Thunder action figure. You know, after finally getting to check this movie out on Disney Plus, I really don't understand all the hate it's been getting. You know, I loved it, my kid loved it, my girlfriend loved it. Christian Bale was so good in this movie. It was ridiculous, but, you know, I digress. It made me excited to work on this guy, nonetheless. And, you know, I won't say it's my favorite look of Thor's. That would probably go to Endgame. You know, just head to toe in that movie. I think he looks like a total badass, and I just love his aesthetic in that. But I do enjoy this one, except for I will say the only thing I think is a little weird is the helmet. You know, even when I saw the movie, I was like, it just looks a little goofy, you know? So much so that I almost actually bought the Ravager figure and swapped the heads just because I like that one way more. But ultimately, I decided I wanted to see what I could do with this, and I'm actually really excited with how it turned out. The whole thing, actually, especially the cape. I've never worked with a cape before, so, you know, I fudged the glue a little bit there, but I don't really care. I'm still really excited about this. I hope you all like it too. If you're interested, I actually think I'm going to be selling this guy, so you can head on over to Instagram at The Walking Deadpool Cosplay and DM me there, or if you just want to check out more of my work, that's there too. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell if you haven't already to stay up to date on all future Dork Deli content. And to check out even more Dork Deli content, you're going to head on over to dorkdeli.com. Once again, I'm Matt, and thanks a lot for watching.